What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush, Let's Talk Jets. Hope everybody's having an excellent weekend. Jets preseason game number 1 against the Commanders. And let me start by saying this. The new uniforms look awesome, man. The white with the green helmets, they were just badass. But anyway, preseason game number 1, you don't really expect a lot. A lot of vanilla play calling. You're not going to see a lot of the starters or second string. You're trying to figure out what the middle and back end of your roster is. But there was some really exciting things for the Jets here as they won the game. And I started an offense where you just get this sense of relief when Tyrod Taylor's on the field. You just know the offense is going to be run well. He's a professional quarterback, above average quarterback. He can run it. He can throw the ball around. He can run. He only played a couple series, but I think when Rodgers is out and you have Tyrod playing, there's not an enormous drop-off. Like last year, once, Rodgers went out, you didn't have a lot of good quarterback play after that. I think a lot of the player development suffered. You probably hindered the development of the offense and the play calling. So Tyrod comes in, does his thing, doesn't play long. You don't really see a lot, but you know that you have a very competent quarterback there. But it gets interesting after him as both of the other quarterbacks played well too. It's just like Peasley and Martinez both look very comfortable. Starting with Peasley, nice touchdown pass to Brownlee. But the moment wasn't too big. Again, they're not getting blitzed all the time and all this other stuff and all these exotic schemes. But for their first action of the preseason, they look comfortable. They looked like they had a feel for the offense. They ran it well. Martinez had 2 great throws to Brandon Smith. Martinez is really interesting. It's just he's good arm, very mobile. You saw on third long, he runs for it. Hit a nice on-the-run throw to Smith as well. So that's exciting. Looking at the running backs, Braylon Allen, man, is as advertised. He's kind of the one I was most curious about because you see all the training camp reports, but you don't really know. When they're in T-shirts and shorts, you can't really count that. And against your own teammates or joint practice, you want to see in live action in the game what these guys are bringing to the table. And Braylon Allen, man, is a force. He is a big dude, but elusive, shifty, powerful. And you want to see, can they catch the ball in the backfield? How are they in pass protection? He checked those boxes. Isaiah Davis looks very explosive. Again, catching the ball out of the backfield. It's just, after Breece Hall, you don't want a huge drop-off of talent and explosive ability. So you saw that in both those guys, which is a very encouraging start. Izzy came in, and Izzy has always been super fast, but super speedy, or whatever the word is. But he's elusive and fast, but you want to see his pass protection, his physicality and blocking, yards after the catch. He had a touchdown. So the Jets have a nice little stable of running backs. As long as they stay healthy, it's going to be really interesting to see who makes it. You got to think that special teams plays a huge difference there, a differentiator. So who's going to make team, who doesn't. So returning ability, gunner, everything else. Looking at wide receivers, you mentioned Brownlee. Corley, I think slowly but surely going to see more of him as the preseason goes on. Other than that, it's like, you have Brandon Smith. It's just they ran the ball a lot, which is smart. It's just you're not really scheming for these games, so you want to kind of spread the ball around and just give them all the running backs and kind of feature them and get them as much experience as possible. Offensive line, Tippmann played a bunch. He was the only starter that played, and I figured he would because you want to give him reps and just make sure this snap thing is not an issue. I think Olu played the whole first half, and that's any experience is good experience for all these guys. But you want to see that depth and the competition build up. See what Carter Warren does. I think he had a false start. They had a couple pre-snap penalties which were annoying, but it's the first preseason game, so you can't get crazy about it. Defensively, man, Leonard Taylor I think he had 2 tackles for a loss and a sack, and that was the one thing. There's so much competition on the defensive line. It's like who's going to stand out under the bright lights? Like Tack McKinley had a great preseason. A great training camp so far. Got a little banged up, but what is he going to do in game action? But Leonard Taylor did look awesome. Will McDonald's a guy that you figure with Hassan Reddick still not in camp, which is mind-blowing that now he's getting fine game checks. You figure they're going to give Will McDonald a lot of reps to just keep growing his game. I'm sure they're hoping he plays very well to maybe kind of pressure Reddick a little bit, but I think they're also hoping he doesn't get hurt because he goes down, you lose even more leverage. But he had the one great spin move to get which should have been a sack, but they said that he put his body weight on the quarterback, so he got actually flagged for it. Other than that, kind of uneventful move there. Uneventful game for there. Linebackers Barnes and Surratt look really good. Like Surratt's a really interesting player because he's really speedy and he can do a lot of great things. He can never stay healthy though. And then Barnes has been the same thing. He's been banged up, so he's coming on. In the corners, Bernard Converse is a really interesting player where he went from safety to corner. He got burnt early for a touchdown and actually very good coverage. And I don't think he gave up a pass the rest of the game. I could look at it again. I watched the game briefly, like I watched it, but not like super laser focused. But Bernard Converse is really interesting. Stiggers looks very good. Nice tackle for a loss. He looks aggressive. You have Eccles out there. So the young corners are trying to find their way and try to make a spot in this roster. I'm trying to think who else. There's one other player. Trace Swilling, another player that's really interesting too, where he had a couple nice plays. So they're all getting opportunities to make their move, and then you want to see it kind of keep translating and grow. So you want to make the roster cuts very difficult for the coaching staff. Zerline, I think, had like a 56-yard or 57-yard field goal, which is great. And that's really it. It's a preseason game, man. You're not going to kill over analysis and coaching and what ifs and could has, and you're looking at the bright spots right now, and you want to keep seeing more. And most importantly, you want to get out of these games healthy. That's paramount at this point. Next week's the Panthers, and I guess I'm hoping you're hoping that the starters start playing a little more. I really honestly want to see the starting five play together. I know they're not going to play with Rodgers this week, but if they go in with a series for Tyrod, and then maybe play 2 series next week with Aaron Rodgers, that'd be nice. But you kind of want to see them get on the field and just get all their communication down, the cadence, the play calls, just getting used to playing with each other. Other than that, it's still exciting times, man. It's just get me to week 1. That's where I'm at. There's so much potential on this team. You just want to see it under the bright lights when the games count. So that's it. I'll talk to you guys later.